The meeting today will be about action in all its variations: electoral politics, community building, coalition building, and direct action. But it is my hope that it will also be about what Junot Diaz has recently called radical hope. Not so much something you have, but something you practice that demands flexibility, openness, and imaginative excellence. Radical hope, he says, is our best weapon against despair, even when despair seems justifiable. It makes the survival of the end of your word possible. Our radical hope, only radical hope, could have imagined people like us into existence, and I believe it will help us create a better, more loving future. We will all remember this day and this meeting as a crucial moment when we decided to bring ourselves together as a diverse group of individuals, but also as a collective. To build on what we have accomplished at the local level, Sunday bus service, free fare bus service for minors, the beginning of an Athens Civil Rights Committee, and what we have accomplished on the state level. The veto of the campus carry bill, and now the defeat of Amendment 1. Successes were all realized in the face of what appeared to be insurmountable odds. Obstructionist lawmakers, a culture of privatization and fear, resistance to transparency, and what we saw recently is the stunning disregard for public voices when 6 of our commissioners cruelly dismissed both the experiential knowledge of Athens residents as well as the hours of research that advocates gathered about the need and success of civil rights committees in dozens of municipalities across the country. We will remember this day when we gather to exchange ideas, experiences, strategies, and tactics, when we gather to take a stand and say that we reject what Trump stands for, and when we gather to begin the long and important process of bringing into a world we do stand for. And with that, we'll begin the next portion of our meeting. We have a number of panelists that are here today that we're very excited to hear from. There will be time to talk to these individuals and the organizations that they represent. The purpose of this panel is to just make general introductions and get a picture, however brief, of the broad range of perspectives and actions, activities here in Athens. So we'll begin with Kate. Kate Blaine is an Athens for Everyone board member and environmental activist. And Kate will talk a little bit about her environmental activism and what she sees as some of the challenges that we're looking at with the Trump administration. So, Kate?
Thank you. Oh, it's really humbling to see you all here, and thank you so much for coming out. And thank you so much for Athens for Everyone.
Your microphone.
Not on? All right, there we go. All right, thanks so much. So I'm Kate Blaine. I'm a board member with Athens for Everyone. One of the groups I work with in Athens is Citizens Climate Lobby. We work for a climate change solution at the federal level. How many people have heard of Citizens Climate Lobby? Okay, awesome. So again, if you, this is going to just be 5 minutes. I'm not going to go into in depth what we're doing. But I do believe that climate change is the #1 issue of our time. Yeah, and I'm wondering how many of you out there would put a climate change solution as your #1 concern. That's great, because you know it doesn't rate high overall, America-wise. I'd say maybe only 24% of Americans say they worry about it very deeply. Although a majority of Americans say that they do want something done about climate change. And believe it or not, there's almost half of the Republicans that say they are interested in that too. So our Citizens Climate Lobby, we do lobby our federal legislators, all of them, every year, about a climate change solution that we feel that we have a really great one that's been well researched. But we do know it needs a bipartisan solution. We are not going to get anything passed without Republican support. Now, there has been some encouragement because last year a bipartisan climate solution caucus was created where half of it is Democrats and half of it are Republicans. and that's 16 members. They have to come on board like a Noah's Ark, one Democrat and one Republican. So that is already happening. So we were getting some hope until a Trump presidency. So what does that look like? It's pretty devastating for us who work for a climate change solution, at least at the beginning. So right now what it's looking like is that Trump is not going to honor the climate Paris agreements, possibly restart the Keystone XL, already drilling, gosh, what else? So many things. Fuel efficiency, reversing fuel efficiency standards. So it's a big, big concern about what's going to happen under a Trump presidency. So what we are here is we're thinking more local level too. We know that there can be a lot done at the local level. And so what would that look like? There's other groups in town, like my husband works a lot with GC3, that's a group that, let's see, Georgia Climate Change Coalition, thank you. And anyway, they help with the Solarize program. We could be putting solar panels on government buildings, schools, and generate, I mean, that costs a lot. What we're spending on electricity on these buildings is a lot. It's at the point where this makes sense, economic sense, and put people to work. You know, there's groups here in town like the Athens Land Trust, the Oconee River Land Trust Network. I'm sorry if I didn't get these quite right. That are preserving land. That it's very important to put these conservation easements on. So there's a lot here that we can get involved in right here in Athens. And is somebody keeping time?
Yes.
One more minute. Okay. So anyway, I really encourage you to talk with me afterwards if you want to know more about what the environmental groups are doing in Athens. And thank you so much again for turning out and being here today.
Our next speaker is Ruhala Agasale, feminist scholar in Athens.
Thank you. Everybody hear my voice? All right. So I've been working on a proposal / a letter, and I shared it last night with our listener at Feminist Scholar Activists. So if you want to read the whole thing, I think I don't have time to go through every detail. All right. So my name is Ruhala Agasale, and I just got my doctorate in educational theory and practice at UGA, and now I'm working at Georgia State University. I'm still living in Athens, and I'm involved in local issues. I'm a co-founder of Feminist Scholar Activists, which was a university, a student organization at university, and now we are registering it as a non-profit. And also I'm a communications officer of Globes. I want to start my few things that I want to share you with some questions. How many of you in this room voted for Trump? Come on, don't be shy. How many of you voted for Trump? I'm serious. This is how we teachers do in like middle school. So teachers ask students to put their heads on the table, on the desk, and then ask the question again. How many of you voted for Trump? So, all right. So we are here today to speak to nasty women and bad numbers. So, what are we doing here? And where are we going from here? Where are those people who voted for Trump? Do they even exist? How many of you know family members or relatives who voted for Trump? How many of you unfriended a friend on Facebook? How many of you avoided having conversation because of the type of comments that you received from them? So look at these hands up in the air. This is what I'm gonna talk about it here. How many of you think those people who voted for Trump have some sort of racist, sexist, xenophobic, homophobic mindsets?
Not all. Some of them, not all.
No, those people, the people that you know, the individuals that you know. All right, in my syllabi, I write for my students who are future teachers that unlike many teachers who romanticize teaching and learning, learning is not always fun. Sometimes we need to feel pain and share our pain to learn. Hopefully this will make us a better teachers to lift a bit of burden from our students' shoulder and make our pedagogy more accessible. To me, Trump is old news. Seriously, Trump, as a president or not, has been ruling all of us for a long time.
The Banner Herald unfortunately said, student to take on Brown. I said, no, I'm more than that. I'm more than that. I'm more than that. And I worked my tail off for 5 months straight, going all over this district. Thank you. One person's happy. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, I lost and only got 32% of the vote as a Tea Party tsunami washed over me. Oh, Paul Brown was the founder of the Tea Party, so of course he was going to win. And my wife cried on election night. And I was a little sad. But then, I look back now today to all the wonderful relationships that I've built throughout this community, throughout the district, thanks to that moment in time when I decided to throw my hat in the ring and run for office, even though it was a long shot. So what I'm saying to you, to the young people especially, there is right now a tremendous opportunity for folks to step up, throw your hat in the ring, and run for office. A tremendous opportunity. In the depths of despair, there exists the greatest opportunity for a magnificent achievement. Amen. A magnificent achievement. And if you think and look at the calendar, at 2018, May of 2018, our entire local government will turn over. We will elect a new mayor. Yeah. And girl and woman and gentleman and everybody in here, I'm about ready for a mayor that represents the interests of the people in this room. Very important, because I don't know how this myth took hold that there is a weak mayor in this county, but that is not true. The mayor sets the agenda. If the mayor don't agree with your agenda, it ain't getting on the agenda. And nobody's going to talk about it. So be ready. Get ready. Get ready now. Every month, the Clark County Democratic Committee meets traditionally on the 4th Thursday. We're going to be meeting at the library from now on. Go ahead and put it in your... My timer's going off. I'm wrapping up. Go ahead and put it in your Google recurring calendar. That's when you know you're committed, right? Put it in your calendar, the 4th Thursday, because it's not just the mayoral race. We're also electing 5 new county commissioners. 5 new commissioners plus the mayor. So now's the time to build the foundation upon which we will prevail in the next election. Don't be downtrodden about what's happened federally, because there is a whole lot we can do locally. Athens for Everyone has shown us that. With the Sunday bus service, with the students riding the bus for free, with the creation of the Athens Civil Rights Committee. I'm blown away. I'm blown away. None of that would have happened. None of that would have happened without the folks in this room and the folks over here who have put this event together. And frankly, I'm just tremendously honored to be here. So I look forward to the questions. I hope you'll come up and talk to me afterwards. And I want to see y'all at the Clark County Democratic Committee meetings. It's only an hour a month. And we are constantly laying the groundwork to start winning some of these races. And we're going to do it. And I want to do it with each and every one of you in this room. I see a lot of friends out there. So let's do it.
Our next speaker is April Green, co-founder of Magnolia Fund. And if you had asked me in 2007 if I'd be seeing myself at an event like this with April, I would have said absolutely.
Thank you. Hey, can y'all hear me? We good? Okay. I'm standing up, and it won't have quite the same impact as Russell's standing has, but I want you all to be able to see me when I talk to you. My name is April Green, and I am the co-founder of Magnolia Fund, and we are a grassroots organization that provides funding and practical support like transportation, housing, childcare, emotional support for folks who are seeking abortion access in Georgia. So we're a fully volunteer-led organization, and we've been doing this work for the last 5 years. So we were founded in 2011, and in that time, we have raised and redistributed more than $35,000 to almost 300 Georgians and Southerners who are in need of abortion care. I do this work for a lot of reasons. I personally am someone who has needed abortion care and faced so many barriers to that care. I've talked in person to so many people who need the same kind of support, and it is just mind-blowing that so many people are willing to reach out to total strangers on our organization's hotline and ask for the help they need to access a completely legal medical procedure. Our work is necessary because abortion is expensive, it is stigmatized, it is restricted by geographic and logistical barriers that so many people can't overcome in order to get the care that they need. 96% of counties in Georgia have no abortion provider at all, and more than half of the people in our state who could become pregnant and need an abortion actually live in those counties. So many people are facing just insurmountable barriers to abortion care. An abortion can cost anywhere from $400 to upwards of $10,000. And in the last 6 years alone, our organization, or not even our organization, all organizations that do this kind of work have seen more state-level restrictions against abortion than in all of the years post Roe versus Wade up until that point. So we're already living in an incredibly hostile climate for folks who need access to abortion. And of course, I think we are going to continue to see that hostility grow. We are already a resource in our community that's stretched too thin. In the last year alone, our call volume on our hotline has increased 300%. So I think we can only imagine what that's going to look like under a Trump presidency. Because of the work that we do every day to support abortion access, we are terrified of what the next 4 years are going to bring. A lot of people have been skeptical that a Trump president could actually overturn Roe versus Wade, but my fear is that Roe versus Wade will remain intact, and it won't even matter because of the number of restrictions that are going to be put on abortion access in the coming years. For context, I want to give you a little bit of history. So prior to Roe versus Wade, abortion rights and restrictions were decided at the state level. So states controlled whether or not abortion was legal, and there were very few states that allowed abortion. That meant that folks who weren't wealthy enough to travel and to actually afford an abortion could not access the procedure. Roe took that out of states' hands and granted us a federally protected constitutional right to abortion care. But immediately after Roe was passed, organizations and lobbyists began chipping away at our right to an abortion. 3 years after Roe versus Wade was passed, the Hyde Amendment was attached to the federal budget and says that federal funding cannot be used to pay for abortion care. 40 years later, the Hyde Amendment still exists, and that means that folks who rely on federally funded insurance like Medicaid cannot use their insurance to pay for abortion. In 1992, the Supreme Court decided Planned Parenthood versus Casey, which gave states more control than ever over determining abortion restrictions in their own states past 12 weeks than we had ever seen before. The language in Planned Parenthood versus Casey is what's given way to so many of these restrictions that we're seeing now. They said that as long as restrictions don't pose an undue burden, deliberately vague, whatever that means, states could impose essentially whatever restrictions they would want after 12 weeks gestation. That's meant that we are seeing laws that are designed to close clinics, prohibit access, and do so many things to make it so that folks who need abortions can't access those. As governor of Indiana, Mike Pence himself has signed some really horrendous anti-choice legislation. He's signed a bill saying that fetal remains following an abortion or miscarriage would have to be cremated or buried. A woman in his state was recently charged with murder for allegedly attempting to self-induce abortion and then delivering a stillborn fetus. There is absolutely no scenario under a Trump-Pence presidency or administration that I cannot imagine these restrictions multiplying. So what we're going to see in the next few years are, I would guess, a federal 20-week ban that makes it impossible for folks who need abortions for things like fetal anomalies to access that care. We're going to see legislation that's targeting abortion providers specifically, which means more clinics will close, appointment wait times will increase, and the price of abortions are going to go up. That will mean that folks will literally be forced to carry pregnancies until they are no longer legally able to obtain an abortion. Contraception access is going to plummet when the ACA is gutted, and those who are most marginalized in our communities will no longer be able to access the abortion care that they need. So as we know, Magnolia Fund knows, the technical legal right to an abortion means absolutely nothing if you can't access it. So we are going to see our rights to access really dramatically erode over the next few years. And in order to kind of curtail that, we need folks like you in this room to join our efforts to work our hotline, take calls from people who are asking total strangers to help them, provide practical support like rides, housing, that sort of thing. And we're also hosting an abortion speak out in January. So if there's anyone in this room who has had an abortion and would like to share their story to kind of push that cultural narrative and stigma around abortion so that we can start a different conversation, I urge you to talk to me, sign up. We have sign up forms in the back of the room. Just join us to do this work because we are going to need you now more than ever. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Greg Wagstaff with the Athens Anti-Discrimination Movement. Greg is substituting for Mocha Johnson, who unfortunately had a last-minute conflict and couldn't join us. He'll tell us about the movement and.
Mocha is sad that she couldn't make it here today. She had a family emergency that she had to attend to. As I was pulling into the parking lot, I got a text from her to ask me to sit in. So I got a couple of notes that points that she wanted to share with you all. So I am here today as a young black woman. And on her behalf. A couple of notes she had. One is that racism existed before Donald Trump in this last election, unfortunately. During the election, there was a lot of hate speech, a lot of the old language that we used to hear in the 50s and 60s in the South. We see systematic racism and police brutality, violence there, all around the country. And it's an issue that that's bigger than the issues that we face in our community, specifically the alcohol ordinance that was passed recently, prohibiting bars downtown from keeping people of minorities out of the bar with for fake reasons. Anyway, it's a lot bigger. It runs a lot deeper. And we are faced in our community with segregated housing. Biggest problem with discrimination is biggest form of discrimination is poverty. And we have extreme poverty in our community still. And the Athens Anti-Discrimination Movement, AADM, we seek to fight discrimination through education and through dialogue, through action and interaction in our community. We fight for equality and social justice. I heard on the radio this morning that in 1900, thereabouts, there were I think it was 4 lynchings. What was it, a month? And today we have 2 or 3 black men murdered by police per month. It's just stark. So, what a bummer, right? So, a couple of things that Mocha wanted to pass on is that, one, we need to educate ourselves. Our community, we need to educate ourselves, not take the message from the big corporate news media, but to get out and find out what's really going on. We need to do our research. And we need to treat each other with love and respect and to take action. Touching on the point that we need to get out of our comfort zone, we need to get with each other in our community. Can you imagine fish fry, an Athens fish fry, where everybody came and we got to know one another? It would be great. Athens fish fry. We need to be proactive. Something worse than being a racist is being indifferent. And that's worse than blatant discrimination. I was at an anti-discrimination movement activity, and some students who were, what were they? Journalist students. They came up, they were interviewing people, and a young girl asked me, she said, "Do you experience discrimination yourself?" I said, "I'm a white guy. Look at me. I'm a white male. Do I experience it? I don't. But a lot of people do. And unfortunately, if you were to ask a guy like me, very often, not people in this room, but does discrimination exist in our community? Very often, a guy like me would answer, it's not so bad. It ain't what it used to be. But if you ask someone of color, a woman, someone of the LGBTQ community, if there's such a thing as discrimination in our community, chances are you get an answer that, yes, it's an everyday occurrence.
And our last speaker is Beto Mendoza, the Athens Immigrant Rights Coalition.
¿Cómo están todos? So the first thing I want to bring is about the gender in the panel. I know Athens for Everyone worked very hard to represent the panel most weekend, and we have only 2 nasty women and 4 bad hombres. And so I'm a John woman and John black woman. And Tim Denson has to step down from this panel. Tim Denson has been working hard in Athens for Everyone. He's the face of the organization. He has to step back to let another woman take the place. So this panel really should be represented. And also in migrant struggle, women are majority, and here are the bad men in front of you putting our face. So my name is Humberto Mendoza, Beto Mendoza, Beto Cacao. I'm an undocumented immigrant, unafraid. I'm not afraid of the Irish men. I'm not afraid of the Irish men's policies. I'm not afraid of that machine of deportation Barack Obama has been put in place for the last years. I'm not afraid of the nationalists. I'm not afraid of the white supremacists. I'm not afraid of their loudness. I'm not afraid of these no senses happening right now. We thought 60 years ago we ended, but it's coming back and it's strong. That is why it not surprises me Donald Trump is getting elected. We see it from the 1970s, white nationalists pushing the agenda to end immigration from non-white countries. That's the reality. These people has been investing millions of dollars to end the migration from South American and countries, from all our countries. I don't know, white, whatever. But they've been working hard to end immigration from those countries, and that no surprises me. And really, what we're going to hope, we don't hope, but we're going to see in my community is the same soup we've been having with Barack Obama. He already deported 2 million of families. He already break 2 million of hearts. He break 2 million of families in this community in United States. And we will see it more with Donald Trump. And we can see the people he's surrounded with. So it's going to be harsh. It's going to be violations of human rights. We know that. We know that what we are expecting. But hell, we've been fighting for the last 17 years. We've been fighting for the last 20 years. We've been fighting for the last 60 years. We've been fighting forever. Because my family was a slave, still a slave, and we still, now I'm a free slave here in front of you. But whatever, no? I'm still fighting for what I think is right. I really think the state level are going to keep pushing their legislation of hate against immigrants. Right now, undocumented immigrants cannot drive. If you are driving without driver's license and you get caught in one of those roadblocks, you face up to, I don't know, a month or a week in jail, plus you pay $1,000 fine. That means you're going to lose your job and your family will suffer. They will increase these kind of laws in the state level. And of course, the local level always say that we will support you. You know, we don't gonna be harsh police. Athens is being nice, but then later they say, okay, but we have to enforce the law. Guess what? That law is unjust. That law is racist. That law is have to go. So what is happening? We're standing up, we're putting our face, we're putting our bodies to the bullets. We are here. We don't go. Aquí estamos, no nos vamos. So we are here for a long time. So I invite you next November 29, put in your calendars, we will have a meeting for Alice to recruit people who wants to help us driving others. If you want, you use your privilege of your driving license, come and tell us, and it will be very appreciated. If you want to use your privilege of citizenship, come and help us to talk with your representatives. Come and help us to push the legislation out of it. So November 29, Oconee United Methodist Church across street from Mama's Boys. From Mama's Boys, 6 p.m. And I'm going to be around if you want to talk to me. Thank you.
Please join me in thanking all the panelists.
My name is Evelyn, and I am a senior at Cedar Hills High School here in Athens. My mother was in her first year of law school when she had me, and my father was bouncing jobs back in El Salvador. There came a point where he just couldn't afford to pay for our expenses. My dad and mom decided coming to America was the only way that they could better themselves. I was fortunate enough to live with my grandparents for the 1 year we were apart. Eventually, my parents saved enough money for me to join them in America. When I landed in Atlanta, all I could think about was seeing my mom and dad, and almost magically, they appeared. I was the happiest girl in the world, reunited with my parents. Growing up, my parents did all they could to provide for me. My brother came along, and things got different. My parents were finally settling into decent jobs. Decent jobs for two undocumented young adults, that is. My dad worked at some landscape company that really didn't value his work ethic, and my mom worked at the first fast food restaurant that hired her. You see, at a very young age, my mom had to make a decision that altered the lives of my entire family. Faced with the prospect of staying in El Salvador to finish her degree or follow her husband to America to keep her family intact, she left. She was 1 semester short of earning her degree. Because she missed that 1 semester, I've seen her work at the same fast food restaurant for the last 15 years. That 1 semester has made a world of a difference for her and her family. I admire both of my parents for all they do to provide for me and my brother, but I want a different lifestyle. I want one that reflects on my parents' hard work, a happy one. Sadly, policy 4.16 states that a person who is not lawfully present in the U.S. should not be eligible for admission to any university system institution at this time. Georgia College and State University, Augusta University, Georgia Tech, and UGA all fall under this policy. Any student requesting to be classified as an in-state student for tuition proposers will be required to provide verification of their lawful presence in the U.S. in order to be classified as an in-state student. This means as an undocumented student, I have to pay as an international student, which means up to 3 times in-state tuition. Personally, I think Georgia's policies are simply ridiculous. I've lived in Georgia since I was 3 years old. This is my home. Still, I'm not allowed to attend UGA, even though I meet all of their requirements. The saddest part is I'm not alone. This is the same for thousands of students in Georgia. I hope that one day these policies can change, but for now, I just want to continue to fight for our rights. Today, I am honored to be here. In representation of ULEAD. ULEAD is a nonprofit here in Athens. We meet every Thursday night with mentors who are able to work one-on-one with students on SAT prep, college applications, scholarships, and homework. ULEAD was able to give our 24 college students scholarships this year. ULEAD's mission is to provide students like me the tools and resources we need to be successful. Most of the ULEAD students are currently high school students and recent graduates from the Athens area who have varying immigration statuses, documented, temporary protected status, permanent residency, and first-generation citizens. I myself am a DACA student. DACA has changed my life, and because of it, I am able to do so much that I couldn't before. On June 15, 2012, President Obama created a new policy calling for deferred action for certain undocumented young people who came to the U.S. as children. The purpose of DACA is to protect eligible immigrant youth who came to the U.S. when they were children from deportation. DACA gives undocumented immigrants, 1, protection from deportation, and 2, a work permit. The program expires after 2 years, subject to renewal. Of course, when I heard that Donald Trump had won the presidency, a lot of questions and doubt began to consume me. He could potentially take away this deferred action and leave so many of us undocumented once again, without work permits, without driver's license, and with fear of deportation. Yet, I am so grateful to have my Yulee family. It's where I go on Thursday nights when I know I can't do it anymore, when I realize I need the help of my community. It can be the worst day ever for me, but I know the moment I walk through those doors, someone will be there to help. Whether it's with help with my homework or even just a heartwarming conversation, I know someone is always there to support and guide me. I admire how everyone there is fearless, united, and so unafraid. I've learned to be proud of who I am and that there is power in my voice. I've learned how to lead, how to speak up for myself and my communities, and even ask for help when I need it. If I could, I would expand this program that has helped me so much so that people all around the country could receive the help and resources that have benefited me. Together, I believe we can do this. You too can make a difference in our community. Yulee is growing, and we can certainly use your help.
So I'd like to introduce Tim Denson, President of A3. Specials that put out locally and statewide.
Hey everybody, thank y'all for being here. First off, I want to thank the dozens of people who made this event happen through together. There's tons of y'all out here. Athens, everyone is an amazing family. I'm one of those people who has family members, like Rahul was mentioning, where it's tough for me to talk about politics sometimes. I love my family, but sometimes we're not on the same page. I don't feel that support. But I have a completely second family in Athens, everyone, and all these people who support me and love me, and I love them back. And thank y'all. And thank all y'all for being here. So it came down a little bit, so I want to know, who here is a little angry? Who here is really angry? Who here is ready to do something about it? Oh, come on! Do you know what just happened? Who here is ready to do something about it? That's the kind of reaction that we will need if we're actually going to build the kind of community that we believe in and stop the terrible kind of policies that can come down and hurt our friends, our neighbors, our family in this community. We will work, we will resist to make sure those things are stopped, and we will work to build the infrastructure to make something better. And that's what this next part's going to go into. I want to first point out that you might not, the first thing we go into might not be the thing that really clicks with you. We're going to go through a few different ways that you could be involved, that you could be doing that resisting in that building. So be patient, work with us, and if you still don't see anything, talk to us later. Get involved. Let's find that way that you feel like we should be moving forward. So the first thing I want to talk about is, where are we now? We're in a kind of a rough place, right? What just happened with this election gave us Donald Trump. Our senators, Johnny Isakson, David Perdue, a huge supporter of Donald Trump. Doug Collins, Jody Heiss in the 9th and 10th representing Athens, Clark County. Nathan Deal, our governor. State senators Bill Cowsert and Frank Ginn didn't help out there with that campus carry bill, did they? State House, we got Spencer Fry. We got senators in the But you know, it makes it a lot harder for Spencer to work for us when he has to work with, Regina Quick and Chuck Williams. We deserve to have true progressive leaders here in this community and across the whole state of Georgia and the rest of this country. But we can do something about it here. And then, of course, on the Athens Clark County, we have Nancy Denson for the mayor, and we're going backwards here. And for the county commission, we've got 10 commissioners, of which 5 of them are going to be up for re-election. So we had 18 offices up for re-election this year. Does anybody want to guess how many of them were challenged, had people running against them? Throw out some numbers, anybody? 0, 10, 3, 1. Somebody said the right number there. 10 is way too small. Way too few. The answer is 3 of 18. And that 3 there, that 3 includes Hillary Clinton, okay? So I don't think she was doing it just for Athens Clark County. It was probably, maybe it was in her mind, but no. So what's one easy way that we could be doing something? We could be running people, true progressive candidates who believe in bold ideas, who believe in building a community for everyone, in Athens for everyone. We could be running those people against that line that we had right there. So, let's talk about how we got here first, though. Why is this happening? There's a lot of factors. Not just that we didn't run people, but we have, gerrymandering, redistricting we have to deal with, voter suppression, the way campaign finances are set up, lack of citizen involvement, voter disillusionment because of a lot of these things, including lack of transparency. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed here. But the thing is that there's hope. And there's hope that we could start a truly progressive roadmap here in Athens, Clarke County for the entire state of Georgia. That's right. It's going to take a lot more than just the changing demographics. You probably heard that a lot. Oh, the demographics are changing. We're going to take back the governorship. That's not just going to happen. Supposedly the demographics were changing in this last presidential election. They didn't do it for us because demographics don't win elections. We win elections. We have to work on it. We have to build that grassroots movement. These campaigns must be run in a grassroots, bottom-up kind of style that empowers the people who are working on those campaigns. So, let's look at it though. Athens, Clarke County, we're getting it pretty good. We're doing a pretty good job here. This is a map here. I apologize for some of y'all who can't see it. Let's try to tell you about it here. The darker blue are the ones who voted the highest margin for Hillary Clinton. The lightest blue, the less. Every single voting precinct, every single one, said no to Donald Trump. That gives me some hope. And it's important to think, this isn't just in Athens, Clarke County. We've got to keep in our minds, we've got to remember that still, while Donald Trump was elected, it was not elected with a majority. There are many more people out there who decided not, or maybe decided, but who did not vote for Donald Trump than there are that did. So something to keep in mind. But here in Athens, Clarke County, we're doing it right. And the most exciting map is this one here, the vote no on Amendment 1. The vote to keep our schools local. I know Russell talked about it here some, and it's true. That movement started here in Athens, Clarke County and grew in a grassroots movement. Look at this, the precinct that voted the most in favor of Amendment 1. Only 30% voted in favor. The worst district did 70%. We were on the right page. We knew what the truth was. We're working here, and this is all because of a grassroots campaign. That's how we win these elections. And also, yeah, Amendment 3, the only county that got the right answer. And what was the right answer, folks? No! That's right. Man, we should have had this quiz in other counties before this. So, what we could be doing, though, is not just, in presidential politics. We're talking about starting at the bottom. County politics, county commissioners. We are going to have 5 county commissioners up for re-election in May of 2018. And you know what? We can ensure that progressive candidates are in those offices. We've got District 1 here, currently sitting with Sharon Dickerson. You can see how it went. It's pretty blue. It's not the bluest, but it's pretty blue. District 3, we've already got a fantastic progressive person. Alyssa Lane, there she is. We need to get some people on that county commission who think like Melissa Link. Because Melissa Link thinks when she goes to a vote, how is this going to help the people who need it here in Athens, Clarke County? That's the way we need to be thinking about this. And Athens for Everyone, very proudly, the first endorsement we ever did was from Melissa Link. So in some of these districts, we just need to keep those progressive people there. So we're also looking at District 5. Also very overwhelmingly went for Hillary Clinton. And we got 7. It's a little rougher, but you know what? That's still pretty blue. There is a path there. Right now we have Diane Bell sitting in that one. A lot of 5 points there. And then we have District 9 also with Kelly Gertz. You see pretty blue there. We gotta keep these progressive commissioners in place, and we can. Now let's talk about a bigger challenge. The State House. I know, right? I know. And these are rough numbers, I'll tell you that. All the numbers have not been totally finalized and stuff. These are rough numbers, but there's still a path. Hillary Clinton, we actually saw some improvement in these houses. Hillary Clinton took 46% of, this is Regina Quick's and for all the counties. So there's a path there. We could do that. If we simply increased slightly the number of, there we go. This is new. If we simply increase slightly in Jackson County, Barrow County, Oconee County, just a few points, that flips that district. Same thing for Chuck Williams, who has the southern and southeastern part of the county, and also the rest of Oconee County. It's the same thing. Hillary Clinton took 46% here, with Donald Trump only getting 49%. We flip a few points. Both of these races, guess what the difference was? 800 votes. 800 votes in both of these races. That is something we can do about it. We can do something. If we're knocking on doors, if we're making telephone calls, if we're empowering the people in those communities, if we're having conversations, making connections, building trust in those communities, we can be doing this. And we'll be talking about that a little bit more later on, about how we can be forming those campaigns in a grassroots style. And also, the big one here, Jody Hice's district for U.S. Congress here. So, you see, there's a lot of green. The green went for Trump here. The blue went for Hillary. There's a lot of green. But we actually saw, like in Henry County, it flipped over. There's been some progress in it. And for some of these races like this, that might be more challenging, it's even more pivotal that we are running people there. That we are running candidates against Jody Hice instead of just letting him breeze through. Because when you run people against it, you build the infrastructure needed to win. You build the infrastructure that helps other races and other counties in that same district. We have to have that infrastructure. Demographics will not win these elections. We will win these elections. So another way that people will be getting involved is issues and legislation. Athens for Everyone has a political committee that meets, talks about some of the issues and pushes for stuff. Russell very graciously talked about some of the things that we've won so far with Sunday bus service, getting very close to a civil rights committee, although it's not there yet. Getting free bus service for K through 12 students, and also working to get living wages paid to all county workers. Yeah. Those things only happen if we're crunching the numbers, if we're coming up with legislation, we're coming up with issues. And when I say issues, we're going to win this stuff. And we have to change our mindset. I'm talking bold ideas. I'm talking bold issues, bold legislation. You know, we have a 38% poverty rate here. 38%. More than 1 person out of every 3 is in poverty. We're not going to fix that. Now, we got to do food banks. I'm thankful. We got to make sure people have the food and stuff. But we're not going to fix those kind of issues by just building up volunteering at a food bank. We're going to fix those issues by really stepping up, sacrificing our own time, sometimes giving up sacrifices ourselves, and working for bold legislation. We're talking about we might have to take steps where we really have a progressive tax structure when it comes to our property taxes. Things that have been shut down before. But we're going to have to push these bold ideas if we are really meaning what we're talking about here. If we really want to see an Athens that works for everyone, we're going to have to take some bold steps. On the state level, pushing for an independent redistricting commission, right? It's going to be hard. But on the state level last year, we had 2 fantastic state senators put forward an idea to create that. At one time, State Representative Regina Quick was interested in that kind of thing. There's some interest coming from the Republicans because they realize that eventually those demographics are going to change and they might be wanting an independent redistricting commission. But is this something we can be pushing for right now? Moving our county elections back to November. Yeah, right? May? Are you serious? May? There's no reason for it. And we could be moving it back. It actually would save money. It would be more helpful. So that's another legislation we're pushing for, starting right now. We will be doing this. Athens for Everyone will be pushing for this stuff in January. On the local level, prioritize an Athens Civil Rights Committee now. Now. There is no reason for us to be waiting until July of 2017 to have an Athens Civil Rights Committee. We know this is necessary. We don't need another study. We're getting one, and they're doing it right now, supposedly. We don't need that. Why can't their study be listening to the thousands of people who have come to the podium, who have sent emails, who have made telephone calls, who have told them in the grocery stores, who have told them at church that we need a Civil Rights Committee so that we can make sure discrimination is not happening here, and also so that we can simply build a more compassionate community in the first place. It's not just about stopping the bad stuff. Let's build it and make it better. So that's what we should be doing right now, and we will continue pushing on that too. Another one, it's another bold idea. Make Athens a sanctuary city. How many people here are going to sit back and let people in our community be taken away? People who this is their home. Right? That's right. We stand up, we fight back. That's exactly what we do. And not only should we in this room be doing that, not only as we as individuals and organizations like Athens for Everyone, but our mayor and commission need to step up also and protect those people that are at risk because of legislation from the outside. It's a bold idea. If that doesn't pass, it creates that conversation. It gets the ball moving in the right direction. So that's another thing we can be doing. And another thing that you guys can be getting involved with right away when it comes to issues and legislation, I'm very excited about this. One of the first campaigns, initiatives that Athens Everyone ever had was the Athens Sexual Assault Prevention Campaign. It kind of died off because basically the people leading it were doing amazing work for other campaigns trying to get progressives elected here in Georgia. So we're putting it back on. The Athens Sexual Assault Prevention is coming back. And yeah, right? And to tell us a little more about that, we got Kate Dahlstrom who's going to come up. She's the new coordinator. She's going to tell you a little bit more about that.
If you go to the Athens for Everyone website right now, you will see that this campaign has not been active lately. I'm here to change that, but I need your help. 3 days after the election, a colleague and I were sitting at the Library Cafe on UGA's main campus, and a young lady came over to our table, deeply upset over a situation that had taken place where a group of young men encircled a woman on campus, chanting, "Grab her by the pussy." This nation has elected a man who has admitted to sexual assault and invites the perpetuation of rape culture. Help me fight this locally so that our citizens do not have to fear the devastation. You shouldn't be afraid to walk outside of your house, and I feel like there are some Trump supporters out there who feel that they have been given a blank check to act with impropriety. I am holding a meeting on December 5th at 6:30 p.m. at the Athens for Everyone headquarters. From there, we will start actively campaigning on the issues that we decide together after the holiday season. I'd like to pick up the cause of bystander training for local bartenders and waitstaff. I'd also like to engage the UGA fraternities about doing workshops on sexual consent. But I'd also like to hear your ideas. I will be making my way to the table in the back afterwards. Please come talk to me. Please come to the meeting on December 5th. Please share your ideas. Again, my name is Kate Dahlstrand, and we've got work to do.
There's a few things that we can be doing. And that is, the first thing is you could join the A3 political committee. Again, like Kate said, we work by bringing people in. If you've got ideas, we want to hear them. We want to try to help implement them. We want you to implement them. We just want to empower you in that. That first meeting is going to be December 16th at 6 p.m. coming up. We hold them monthly at the Athens for Everyone office, which is in this building. It's a little bit further down, just about halfway down the building. You can organize, you can join our member lobbying trips. We go to the state capitol a few times every year and just have the residents of Athens Clark County actually lobbying, speaking to the people in power, letting them know that you're here and what you expect out of them. It is a very empowering experience. I highly recommend it. We'll be holding a number of them. We'll do training first. We'll get you over there. You'll have your lunch provided. It's a great thing. If you're interested, please also stop back by there. We have a political and elections table back there where you can sign up for all this stuff. And also, to join the legislative response team. This is a really new, exciting thing. Philip in the back to me is going to be handling that with a fantastic beard back there, so you can go back and see. No, this is a really exciting thing that has different levels of how you can be involved. If you want to be coming to the meetings, which the first one's going to be on November 28th, you can come there and actually be in the room and actually do this, but you can also be doing this from home if you can. And that's going to be basically committing to calling out the legislators and contacting them when there's either bad legislation happening that we need to stop, or they're pushing for good legislation. So you'll join this contact list. We will contact you and just expect you to either make a telephone call, join a social media, a thunderclap where we all do social media posts at the same time, an email drive, or a letter drive. It's an easy way. If you have limited commitment, you can't necessarily make it to meetings, but you have the ability to step aside for 5 minutes, make a telephone call, or send an email. This is the one to sign up for here. Just imagine what kind of things we could be doing. If when bad legislation happens, Regina Quick and Chuck Williams get 500 emails, 500 telephone calls saying, no, not in my community, you don't vote for that. Listen to the people of Athens. That will make an effect. So, for all three of these things, you can sign up at the table back there. And before I pass it on, this has been an amazing experience. And unfortunately, Dr. Francis Johnson, the president of the Georgia NAACP, was hoping he'd be here, but he can't. But he has a great saying coming out of the Moral Monday movement. I've heard him say many times. I would love us to do here. All right. When we say forward together, I want you to hear, I want you to say back, not one step back. So I'm going to say forward together. Not one step back. Forward together. Not one step back. Forward together. Not one step back. All right. I love you people. I love Athens, Georgia. I know you all do too. Thank you so much. We got some more great ways to get involved.
Power.
Power.
Transformation.
Transformation.
Miracles.
Miracles.
I want it.
I want it.
I need it.
I need it.
I gotta have it.
I gotta have it.
Power.
Power.
Transformation.
Transformation.
Miracle.
Miracles.
I want it.
I want it.
I need it.
I need it.
I gotta have it.
I gotta have it.
Power.
Power.
Transformation.
Miracles.
Miracles.
I want it.
I want it.
I need it.
I need it.
I'm gonna have it.
I'm gonna have it.
You all, can you hear me okay? Okay. Do you feel the energy in this room? Do you feel the magnetism? Can you just breathe? So, my name is Brianna Bivens. Ashley and I are going to talk to you today a little bit about building community. And we'll be demonstrating this as well as Ashley does the clicker and I talk, and then we'll switch on and off, so it'll be a small exercise in collaboration. We'll see how it goes. So we're going to talk to you about building strong and resilient communities, both why this is important and how you can do it starting here, starting today in this very room. This is so important for enacting change. In a few minutes after Ashley and I talk, Adam will talk to you all about the importance of social movements, which is also something that we're beginning to build here today. And I know the term social movement can seem sort of intimidating, sort of this abstract pie-in-the-sky idea, but let's think of it differently. Let's not think of it that way. It's a group of people coming together, united by a common cause, not unlike what we're all doing here in this room today. We're wanting to bridge the divide between the world we have and the world we want, and there is definitely a renewed sense of urgency around creating that world we want now in the wake of the pending Trump administration. So, with that being said, I'm going to talk with you first about building community through education. So we'll talk about building community through education, through care, and through communication. And I might weave in a couple of anecdotes about the successes with Amendment 1 as we move forward. So while I've divided this slide into educating others and educating yourself and educating others, I think it's super, super important for us to realize that these are one and the same thing. They are so intertwined. They happen together and at the same time in each interaction. And education is also very much in line with Athens for Everyone's mission to cultivate a more informed population. So the exciting thing for me, the intertwinement of educating yourself and educating others, is that this is super empowering. What this means is that we have a lot of power to shape the world through each interaction, through dialogue. So let's keep that in mind. So as far as educating yourself, there are a few ways we can do that. First, we have to know what's going on in our communities in order to actively and effectively be able to resist it. So this can come. So this can come in the form of attending things like workshops and teach-ins, some of which Greg alluded to that the anti-discrimination movement will be putting on. One of them is a criminalization and poverty workshop in the Deep South, I believe scheduled for December 1st. Also, attending local political meetings. This is school board meetings, commission meetings. Figure out what our elected officials are talking about. What issues do they have on the table and what's sort of missing from that? And if there are issues we care about that aren't on the table, let's get them on the table. Let's bring them into the agenda. And also organizational meetings. Figure out what organizations in your area are looking at. Are those things you care about? Are there things not being talked about? So what this amounts to is showing up. And this is exactly how I got involved in activism. Back in January of this year, I saw a Facebook event for the Anti-Discrimination March that was being held in downtown Athens. I had never been to a protest, I had never been to a march. Those words were sort of like taboo to me. They were really appealing from afar, but I was like, there is no way I could participate in something like that. But I was able to find a friend to accompany me, and I went and I sort of quietly held a sign and chanted every couple of minutes or something. But it was so incredible and empowering to be standing alongside hundreds of people that not only care about the same issues as I did, but also were there actually doing something about it. And I was like, wow, this isn't that hard. I just came and I'm involved now, and it was incredible. Sort of the beginning of what has been a really awesome, incredible journey with Athens for Everyone and my work on the campaign against Amendment 1. Anyhow, so the activism piece for me is a good segue into educating others. I think it's also important for us to begin to demystify the word activism. This is another one of those weighty terms that we think might include a really high level of commitment and expertise. But that is not the case. We, Athens for Everyone and other groups across the state, we have the infrastructure, and we want to be here to help you and to train you. And there are various levels of involvement that, depending on what's right for you. So this is the outreach piece. This is the engagement piece. So again, it's important to figure out what is already happening in your community and how you can key in. What are the unfulfilled needs or issues? And this reminds me of some of the strategy that we pursued in the campaign against Amendment 1. I was the regional field coordinator for the Northeast Georgia area to defeat the amendment, and something that we did, starting with Athens for Everyone earlier this year, was engaging in coalition building locally in Athens. And what did that look like? It essentially entailed figuring out what other organizations were interested in education, even tangentially, and seeing if they were already wanting to get involved in defeating the amendment, and if they weren't, talking to them about their strengths and how they might be able to contribute to this effort. Again, how can we work together? What is the common thread uniting us all? So similarly, as I mentioned earlier, everyday conversations are really important. We cannot begin to underestimate the power of these. They build out and connect in ways that can be really impactful. Also, door-to-door canvassing, knocking on doors, making phone calls.
And you can do this for a specific issue, like we did with Amendment 1, or just getting a general survey of what folks in your community really care about. And this is something Athens for Everyone did with transportation and Sunday bus service. And lastly, speaking at community events and meetings. And I'll give the example of the First Friday events that Broderick Flanagan held over the summer. And so at these events in the East Athens community, a bunch of nonprofits came out and shared their resources, made themselves available to parents and children in the community. And Broderick was gracious enough to allow us to have a table on Amendment 1. So there, not only did we have literature, talking to people about why the amendment was bad, but we were also engaging them in conversations around what we want our schools to look like instead. What is the education system that we envision? So we did a little collective reimagining activity where we had poster boards and markers and little coloring pages, and the kids could write down what they loved about their local schools or things they'd like to change. So again, not necessarily tying it to a legislative priority, but keeping that broader goal in mind. And these are events where you can find your people there. You can figure out how you want to unite efforts and work together. And this is how we grow the movement. So again, this kind of engagement is really important both for resisting bad pieces of legislation like Amendment 1, which we beat with stunning margins here in Athens, Clark County, thanks to a bunch of people. But perhaps even more so, we're starting dialogues, we're fostering relationships, we're mobilizing people who may have never been involved in politics before. And we need sustained grassroots efforts in order to really transform society. So thank you all.
I'm Ashley again, and I'm going to talk to y'all a little bit about care. And this is both self-care and community care. Because while we are educating ourselves and others, we also need to be sure that we are supporting each other and creating a really strong network so that we can stay in this fight for the long haul, right? Because it's no question that there is a long road ahead. There's a lot of work to be done. And I think the key to making sure that we stay in the fight is to practice community care. So what's community care? It's the give and take of support from our individuals to our communities. And this can happen in many different ways. It can look like something like asking for one-to-one conversations when you feel overwhelmed by a big group discussion or event like this. Asking your friend or even anybody you don't know that's just in the room with you to stand to the side and help you process your thoughts. Another example is just asking for emotional support. This can be related to the issues at hand or even just your own personal life. We're here to support you, and we want to make sure that you feel comfortable in trusting us to provide you with that kind of help. Right? Another example is asking for communal spaces. This could be where people just need to sit in a room together and breathe in order to heal and take everything in and be okay. This could also be asking people to come meet you at a coffee shop, meet you at your house, some sort of community center just to work together. Whether it's homework, work, or activism work, right? Just having those physical bodies next to you so that you can be effective and productive and not feel so alone. And then something more tangible, I guess, is asking for help with transportation. This happens a lot because we have barriers to transportation. Though we did get Sunday bus service thanks to these great people, there are still other developments. There's still more developments that need to be made, and we need to recognize that and remember this. So if you want to go to a meeting, you want to go get some lunch, and you feel like you don't have the range of mobility to get there, reach out and ask someone, ask A3, and we'll support you in getting you where you need to go, and where you belong, and where you need to be. Okay, and then while asking for help, it's also important to recognize and try to understand the needs of those around you. This is hard in the beginning because I don't know a lot of you here, so I don't know what you need. And like we said, we need to be honest and open with the communication. Once that happens, we can better support one another. But sometimes it's hard for people to ask for help. So being able to recognize, okay, this person needs emotional support today, I'm gonna go approach them after the meeting and just ask if everything's okay, or ask if they'd like to talk about anything. And just being able to get to that point, I think, is really exciting. As we grow together as a community, we'll be able to be more aware of what we need, and it'll be really exciting when people just fall into place and kind of like have their own roles, and nobody's left with their needs unmet. And so some examples of how you can support those in your community, especially in such hard spaces like this, is giving affirmations. I know for me that hearing affirmations of even just the work that I'm doing, or if I, let's see, I don't know, have a good example, I was helping with the dishes one day at an event, only because I didn't know what else to do, and I was so afraid that I didn't want to engage in any conversation. So I just kept rocking back to the kitchen and doing all the dishes. And everyone was like, thank you so much for doing those dishes. And I was like, oh, I guess I am still helping, even if I'm not engaging in the way that I would expect to be in a different way, right? So not necessarily better. Deep listening is really important, especially now also, because we have a lot of thoughts to process, and it's important to give people space to talk without wanting or taking space in order to respond. And I think that that's the best thing we can do. Just listen to those that are affected and give them time to think and talk things out without having to input your own voice and thoughts. Guidance, this can happen again in work life, activism, organizing life, or just personal life. If we are going to be a community that trusts each other, then we should be able to ask each other for advice and for help. And I mean, we're all here, so I'm guessing we have a lot of smart people in the room. Who better to ask than people who want to fix things and have an eye for what needs to be done. And then lastly, it's acceptance. I know that there are a lot of people in this room and outside of this room who have been deeply hurt in the past month or so. Everything that's just gone on with the election, right? A lot of people are affected by this. And as a person of color and as a woman, I know how important it is to me to know that I am accepted in a space as the person that I am, and not the person that someone expects to see or wants to be there. And so I think that just expressing that acceptance, or just understanding, like for myself, I have to go in like knowing that I'm okay, rather than even if nobody's going to tell me. And I know that that really changes how I interact with the space, and it's really necessary for me to be comfortable and to be a person, I guess, that isn't just shutting down. So yeah. Pretty, but also could represent us as a community, and knowing that we are just these dots on this big web, and that one movement here is going to affect the web on this side. And if we can get into a place where we can harmoniously exist on that web and be able to respond and catch each other's movements, that would be great. So, yeah. And now for self-care. So this is a quote that I really like by Audre Lorde. It says, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare." Yeah, we know that this fight's going to be hard, and we know that it's going to take a large commitment of our time, our energy, and our resilience. So with that in mind, we need to make sure that we can take care of ourselves so we can show up and exemplify those things, right? And continue to have those resources to give. So yeah, this quote I really liked, and my roommate and I were talking about it one night, and she just expressed that she was like, wow, like self-care is actually really radical. It's a really radical act to participate in. Because we're not told to take care of ourselves in this world. We're told to hold on to our jobs, hold on to our resources, our capital, and not necessarily hold on to our own souls. It's almost like we trade them off rather than having them grow together. And so in this work, which we're gonna do, a lot of us are gonna probably do this on our spare time while we work during the day, our 9-to-5 jobs or whatever other kind of jobs that we might have. We're gonna have to set that time aside to really devote to this, and then we're gonna have to set more time aside to devote to ourselves, right? So that we can be our strongest bodies. And when we think about political warfare, I think that really rings true to me also because I don't have a weapon on me right now, and I think that in this fight, I see myself, my body, my mind, and my spirit as being my, methods of offense. Since I don't use that word. Yeah, so what we have are our thoughts, and these thought processes are going to be what we use to make strategic decisions in order to create change and make strategies that will be well implemented. We also have our passion that's going to serve as the fuel to get us here in this room and in every other room that we're going to need to be in to continue on in this fight. And then we have our bodies, which are nice to have because they act as our vessels to get us from place to place, right? To get our spirits and our minds there. So we need to really make sure that we can take care of those. And I know that for me, I function most efficiently when myself, I am feeling healthy and nourished and whole and secure. Is at that point, can I go out and talk to other people and feel like I have some sort of agency in the outside world because I know I have myself at least kind of under control. I don't know if anyone's ever completely controlled themselves, but yeah, at least getting closer to that. And so, yeah, I think that this looks different for every person, and it's gonna be, it could be meditating for 5 minutes a day, it could be meditating once a week, it could be taking a walk outside, spending time with your dog, watching Netflix for 6 hours on Saturday morning because you just need to do it. It could be a lot of different things, and I think that's important to remember, is that there's no prescription, there's no formula that's gonna get us to where we do feel whole. But to be able to listen to ourselves and listen to each other, I think that we have the ability to be strong as individuals and as a community and really show up for our future, right, and the generations to come. So.
I just want to talk to you all really quickly about the last component, which is building community through communication. Thank you to my good friend Ruhala for bringing this up in his remarks on the panel. He said that we tend to avoid those who disagree with us, but we can't be dismissing them. We live with them, they walk among us, so we have to engage them in some way, in a productive way. So this might be intentional engagement across lines of difference. Engaging in conversations that are nonviolent, that are purposeful, with folks that might not share our views. This isn't something that is prescriptive, but rather it's future-oriented and it spans within and across different interests. So I very much, Jim Garrett and John Lash are at the table, the little round table right over there, hands up in the air, hi. Okay, so go talk with them, sign up to participate in an open, structured dialogue space, share your thoughts, sort of work through, we're all working through this together, so I very much encourage you to go visit them and participate in these spaces. Thank you all again.
Presenter of today's meeting, before my quick closing remarks, is Adam Lasla, who also serves on the board of Athens for Everyone.
Oh, look at that. All right, so I want to talk about action. Can you go back to the last slide, actually? So we want to talk, everyone's here because we're talking about what do we do now, right? So specifically, we want to know what, we've been talking a lot about what we do broadly as an organization, what we do collectively, what the political strategy is moving forward. We also want every single person to leave here with a specific thing to do that's not just coming to another meeting. So this is the beginning of our list of what we need you to do. And as far as this component of planning moving forward. So we're going to be holding, a month from today, December 20th, in different places around the county, are resistance dinners. And there are 3 levels where people can participate in these. The idea is to get together and really build this activist community, get to know one another as we plan the actions moving forward. So level 1 of involvement is to show up to these things. Showing up is always the easiest thing, and it's the thing that everyone here can do as long as you're not out of town. So level 1 is participating. Then we're going to be doing 3 days of canvassing, getting out in the community to actually talk to people, getting them to come to these things, and also inviting them to the Athens Day of Resistance, which we're going to be talking about in a minute. And level 3 is if you have a home and you like to host people, please host one of these community dinners. We're hoping to have them in different places all around the county coming up. So you can sign up in like 6 minutes when I stop talking at the Community Engagement and Education table. And then John and Jim, as Brianna mentioned, are also going to be holding facilitated dialogue sessions moving forward. We don't have dates or times for those yet, but we'll be planning those. You can sign up for those and get invited. Open spaces to talk to people about the problems we're facing moving forward. And maybe some of our political opponents will be there and learn how to talk to them as well. Alright, so the thing I really want to talk about today is active resistance. So I want you to feel how many people here think we have to do something more than just vote? Willing to be one of the people that actually does that. I like to see that. So we're going to talk about the role of rallies, marches, walkouts, sit-ins, strikes, blockades, sometimes getting arrested. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how A4E as an organization and as the left, we see the role of these things moving forward. So we see that when major positive social change happens in the context of US history, there are usually 2 major components. One is having progressive officials in office. And the other one, this is the one that the history books tend to leave out much more, is having large, strong social or labor movements. When people say, well, if we have elected officials and Democrats are in office, like why do we still need to have people marching in the street or whatever? Because it's the only thing that works. If we look back at US history, Democrats as a party are torn in pretty opposite directions between the interests of the people who donate to them and the interests of the people who vote for them. If we're not loud enough, they kind of just do what those donors want. So the 2 major examples of real progress in American history on these social things, coming together in the 30s, we had large-scale strikes, the sit-down strikes in Flint, general strikes in different cities around the country, huge marches, strong socialist and communist movements that scared the hell out of the mainstream, together with the large Democratic majorities and FDR. I think the best example of how this power works is the New York Times endorsement of FDR in 1936. They didn't say, we need these social programs because people are really hurting. They said, we need these social programs because it's the only way to stave off revolution. Right? So we need to make them afraid of us. So with those movements, we want really significant things. Unemployment insurance, Social Security, giant public works projects that put people back to work and help get us out of the Great Depression. And of course, those things weren't nearly building the society we really want to have. The racism and segregation were rampant in all those programs, but there were steps in the right direction. And in the 1960s, again, we saw that movements really emerged as a powerful force in American politics. The Civil Rights Movement, the Student Movement, the New Left, and the Anti-War Movement. And then once that was coupled with large Democratic majorities and the LBJ presidency, we won real things again. We won the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, and the end of the draft. These things would not have happened if people were not in the streets. We've had Democratic presidencies since then, and our accomplishments have been insignificant compared to the ones we had during those time periods when people were in the streets and doing things. Next. But now we're in the time of Trump, which is scary as hell for all of us. And we don't have those progressive elected officials, right? So how is this going to work? We don't have Democrats in power in Congress nationally, in the presidency, or anywhere in Georgia. We won't for at least 2 years. So yes, that probably blocks a lot of the options for transformative change that we have in the short term. But it also means that all of the responsibility for effective resistance is on the social movements. It's on us, unless we just want to give up and let them do whatever they want for 2 years. So what can we hope to actually accomplish through our resistance? One, active resistance builds popular opinion in opposition to Trump's policies, which can change the administration's political calculus. They're not going to have a change of heart because there are millions of people in the street. They're terrible, terrible people. But what we can see is that they are selfish, and they're thinking, how am I going to get reelected? And if 70% of the people of the country are actually standing up and saying something about mass deportations, maybe they'll say, oh, maybe we shouldn't bother with that one. But as long as we're silent, they will just put all these things in place. And the other one is it builds the progressive left, that's us, as the visible opposition to Trump, increasing our power and making us the most viable alternative when Trump is eventually defeated. We've seen what happens when the Democrats put up centrist establishment candidates of the status quo, and that's the terrible far right wins. So we need to put ourselves in the position where when we defeat Trump by proposing a real alternative to people. If we are the visible opposition, the social movement and progressive left, the visible opposition to Trump, we will give people something to vote for, not only voting against terrible things. And that's the power we need to get. All right, so now we are to this part. To me, this is the most exciting part of the day. We're announcing what's going to be a giant day of action on January 20th. Already, this is the largest meeting I've been to in Athens that we're not even doing anything except talking. So it's really exciting to think of how many more people will get out when it's time to actually do something. So Inauguration Day, January 20th, we need to, and I'm pretty confident that we can have the biggest action in the history of Athens, resisting Trump and Republican control in this country. This will consist of several things. The main component probably being a rally and giant march downtown, hopefully fed by a walkout of hundreds or thousands of students. People are already planning this on campus. Maybe some things can happen in the high schools too, if there are any high schoolers interested in doing some organizing. And there's also a good chance that later in the day, who knows who might be organizing something like this, but some kind of more disruptive action that we'll have lawyers on hand for and whatnot. So there are 4 levels that I'm asking you all to be involved in today. The first one is for absolutely everyone here. Show up, right? That is the easiest thing to do. Number 2 is the one that doesn't require going outside of your own social circle very much. It's talking about telling your friends. This means personal outreach, not just inviting people to the event on Facebook. That's nice, definitely do that. But it's the one-on-one conversations where you convey to them not only that this thing is happening, but why it's important, why you're passionate about it. And personal messages on Facebook work so much better than just inviting people to events to get them out. So if your only level of organizing is going to be your personal outreach, do it well, show your passion, tell people why it's important, and get them to come as well. Takeaway level 3 is joining us for those canvassing dates that we were just talking about, also for the resistance dinners. But the first 3, we'll have more after this, but December 3rd, December 11th, and December 17th. You can sign up for these at the direct action. We need to build progressive organizational power as the main opposition, and soon the replacement to the current core. So I know a lot of us are thinking like, man, we really need some people to do something, stand up and really fight this. And that's some really good news, actually. Those people exist. There are people who are going to fight for us and fight to change this country. The part that, you know who it is? It's us. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Explicit about this, I want everyone to sign up for at least one other thing before they leave today. Next slide. So we have a list basically here. You look at the board, and so there's the 4 levels of helping out with the Day of Resistance, the 3 levels of helping out with the resistance dinners, both of which include showing up, by the way. Coming to that Athens Sexual Assault Prevention meeting, the legislative response team, the support and communication sessions. Sign up as an official member of A3E. There are a bunch of computers there that you can do that on. You can also just go to that bit.ly/join A3E. It is case sensitive. So sign up as a member and you'll get a vote. All it takes is doing 3 hours of work throughout the year. And I know you're all going to do a lot more than 3 hours of work. And for those of you who happen to have extra money, which I know some people in this town do, donate. All of this costs money, and we very much need your help. So I will leave you there. Please, everyone sign up for some of this, and we need to fight back. And Kelly is going to say some more amazing things.
We are the ones we've been waiting for. A powerful statement, since it's both a recognition of what already exists and what is yet to come, of what we are and are capable of, and what the future holds. A future we can glimpse or feel, but may not anticipate or know in advance. You've heard expressed today a mix of sober assessment and shimmering hope, a call for all that we want and all that we need, but also a nuts and bolts path for taking actions big and small to realize pragmatic goals. I know one of the reasons I got involved in A3 was not only because it traced its intellectual and activist lineage to Occupy, but that members were experts on topics of shared interest, like the ins and outs of transit fare boxes and the peculiarities of local and state politics. Over the last weeks, we've been reading published reactions from very different individuals and groups, and one theme emerges. This is the time for action, not warning, for social movement activism, not complacent faith in those who hold public office or judicial posts. One thing that I can tell you, that I can promise you, and I mean this, you will not regret getting involved and taking an action. Whether that action, you will not regret it. Whether that action takes the form of street protest, editing a press release, making a single phone call, refilling the water bottle in the office, or donating a small sum of money each month. All things that I've done, depending on what I can do on any given day, week, or month. You will not regret taking action, even if and when we fail. And that is because when you act, it is never done in isolation, but in concert with others. We will not turn back. We will build a sustainable culture of resistance and progressive politics that will far surpass this election.